Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Winter Americas. We're going into our lower bracket match where one of these poor players are going to get knocked out of WCS Winter just short of the finish line for the round of 8. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm joined by Nathanius here. Just crying.
Does someone really have to get eliminated, Fear Dragon?
You know what, Nate? Let's just change the rules. Everyone's a winner.
Can't everyone be first place?
That would be great. I would attend that tournament.
Let's give them
I would participate in that.
Gold trophies and honestly, I don't see why anyone who makes an account isn't locked in 8,000 MMR. Everyone should just be at 8,000 MMR.
Everyone should be in the
Everybody.
club.
Everybody. Losing doesn't affect it. Winning doesn't affect it. We don't want anyone to feel bad about losing, Fear Dragon.
I'm on board with this idea, but it's going to take some time to implement, as everyone knows. It does take time to make these changes. So until then, we'll have to settle things out and let one of these players brutally kill the other one. And we move into this lower bracket match, a Terran versus Zerg. We saw Silky play a really awesome match versus Time, a couple of long games. It did get pretty close there for a little bit.
Yeah, Time pulled a pretty interesting transition for his mech strategy in the first map of that series, going into battlecruisers and Vikings with Thor tank. It's pretty cool, and dismantled Silky. Silky came back with a vengeance in game number 2, played a lot better, had better upgrades, dealt with the mech, never even was able to get to battlecruisers. But then in game 3, Time's like, okay, playtime's over. I'm going to make sick Marine splits and Marine tank all over your face. He did, by the way, Marine tank all over his face, and that's why he's in the winner's match. So Silky showed a bit of promise. Kelazhur's going to be a tough matchup, though.
Indeed. We are going to be starting this series on New Repugnancy for game number 1. And down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, it's going to be the red Zerg player. He goes by the name Nick McNees, aka Silky.
Oh, okay, that's actually his name. I was very confused for a second.
Wouldn't it be great if I just made up names and you believed me?
Yeah, you know. And our player in the top right, who loves having anime girls next to his command center, he is Kelazhur. Shout out to Panic Global. They were also copy-pasting in the chat. His own team out here in the trenches.
The only
Twitch
true
chat.
way to show support, to copy pasta.
If you do not,
oh boy,
if you do not,
is this what I think it's gonna be?
What do you think it's gonna be?
Is it gonna throw down? No, it doesn't have any more barracks.
Not on this
yes!
map.
Yes!
No, it's not possible.
So, hold on. I'm with you that this map is a little bit funky when it comes to all the Reaper shenanigans.
Well, it's just far. It's just far away.
It is. Kelazhur, though, when you talk about players who made a name for themselves off of 3 racks Reaper, as I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot of those, and there is, in fact, that third barracks.
Good
it was
golly.
Euthermal in Europe, and then on the west side in North America, it was Kelazhur. It was those two that made their big name for themselves off of 3 racks Reaper.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That Reaper control, man. Silky probably hasn't faced off against this for. Actually, you know what? I say that. It has been a while.
Plays on the Americas server, which means he's seen every build that's ever happened
So,
in the last week.
Fun fact, Silky does play a little bit on the Americas server. He mostly plays on the Korean server, actually. And
he's active enough to have the GM border, though, right? So
that
he
is
plays
true.
at least 30 games every 5
He's been
or 6
playing in
days.
Ladder Heroes, which is a tournament.
So he does.
That's fair.
Okay. So I think playing on Americas is actually one of the best ways to practice against weird builds that are out of meta. So
I've seen a few players actually busting this out on
someone did this in
random
GSL
tournaments.
actually too.
Yeah, I think it actually has been making a little bit of a comeback. It's not like it was before where you just go 3 racks Reaper every single game and
every game
balance out.
If you're beyond, you rush an engineering bay and get +1 on your Reapers and just kill everybody.
Yeah. But this game, we are going to see the first Reaper poke its way forward. Silky knows what's coming his way. And interestingly enough, he is just going to go for lots of Zerglings, Zergling speed, getting up more Queens, and just completely forego the Roaches. And I'm not sure, but this might just be because he thinks it's a 2 racks Reaper. He didn't actually see the 3rd barracks.
Yeah, could be the great debate of all time. But gotta be careful with those Reapers. Let them regen their health. You do not want to lose them. This build is like, it's like momentum, you know? It's like when you punch a boulder and knock it down a hill. It's not gonna go very fast.
When I punch boulders.
It doesn't go very fast, but once it gets rolling, it's very hard to stop.
Oh boy. And is it going to get rolling right now? Killing off a couple of these workers. Remember, Silky doesn't have a whole lot of workers to spare. Already dropping down 3 right now, and none of these Reapers have died yet.
Yeah, that's really the best part of this, is he hasn't lost the Reapers. He's got great control, and it's going to require a significant number of Zerglings to overwhelm this Reaper force. Let's see if he can get it done. He's going to come off creep now. The Reapers already pick off a few of those Lings.
Third base being taken there by Silky. So
actually
maybe
amazing that.
Larva.
It's actually amazing, Fear Dragon. You just pointed that out. I didn't even realize that. That third base,
Yeah.
if he gets away with that, is also insane.
Yep, the Larva is going to be extremely helpful, and he might be able to mine from a little bit over there, but he's losing a lot of these Queens. The hit points going down.
Yep, and the Reaper's trying to use the grenades to create an escape path for himself. I don't think he's going to be able to clear out all these Lings. If he could, that would be insane.
Oh my god, he got so close to actually seeing that third base.
Well, at some point, 5 damage AoE becomes a big deal. He's cleaned up most of the Zerglings. He's going to have to make another huge wave of them.
The Queen's transfuse energy was a bit helpful. He had some time to regenerate the hit points, but loses another one of these Queens. Has a couple of creep tumors down, but hasn't had a chance to spread it during the midst of all these fights. Another Reaper goes down, though.
I have no idea about that third, by the way.
No, he's actually still has gotten so close, but finally going to see the creep there. And the Lings are going to chase these Reapers far enough back. There aren't enough grenades anymore to really prevent any of these Reapers from actually dying anymore. But Kelazhur is still making more of these Reapers, and finally adds on the Starport Command Center.
Comes to an end. Wow, okay, solid early game here from Kelazhur. He's ahead on workers. He's got his natural just about up and running. Yeah, natural's done. The Command Center that's building is his third. And there's no evolution chambers, which I'm going to point out, because I do think it matters.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be the old school, like, more normal transition out of the 3-Rax Reaper. There were some very cheeky ways you could transition out into an engineering bay and get +1 weapons for your Reapers and just continue making more and more and more, and you could even get a medevacs for it. But I do like this transition from Kelazhur. Losing all the Reapers like this, though, I'm not as big of a fan of.
Yeah, I mean, he could have tried to wedge himself between the spawning pool and the hatchery, but he went a little bit south of there. I think he could have actually cleaned all those things up with the choke points that were available. Not a huge deal, honestly. I feel like Kelazhur's economic impact has been big. And you know what? He went straight to 4 gas geysers, too. So, he's going to go mech. There's the factories. Now imagine you're a Zerg player, your opponent opens 3-Rax Reaper. What do you think he does with the racks? Tech Lab Reactor, right? No, wrong. He's going mech.
You know what's fun is that I don't believe mech was really that much of a thing around the time of 3-Rax Reaper era, so I don't actually know that this transition has really been made very often.
No. Well, back then you could stack parasitic bombs and did 180 damage.
Oh yeah.
It was impossible to play mech because
I did enjoy that.
3 Vipers could kill an infinite number of Vikings in about 4 seconds.
That was quite pleasing to watch.
Yeah.
As a non-player. Hyperflight Rotors from Kelazhur. So he's going to be dancing all over the place. This is the kind of mech style I like.
Pick the Saber level of shipping tier, so we'll see. It'll take a while for that one to come in, but at some point down the line, we're going to see Speed Banshees. But otherwise, opening up with some Hellions. We got the Lair on the way. Did he just cancel? Okay, no, Bailey Nest finished. I think he accidentally started a second Bailey Nest and canceled it. But
yeah. Lair Tech about halfway finished up there, and I really do like this kind of style of mech from Kelazhur, because Kelazhur is that player that likes to get aggressive and he likes to be all over the place, really pull his opponent apart from a lot of different sides. So seeing this or seeing the Cyclone mech, which by the way we do have some Cyclones being added on in, this is the style of mech that I think Kelazhur can hit his stride in, not so much the defensive ultra passive styles of mech.
Yeah, I like seeing Terran players get on the map. It's very similar to how Time actually played, except he chose a different way to start the game.
Yeah.
But it seems to be heading towards the same setup, right? Speed Banshees, Cyclone Hellion. I do like the second Armory. There's none in this game. Zergling counter attack, by the way. I've suddenly got the hiccup, Dragon. I'm so sorry.
Well, we do see a little bit of a hiccup in the defense here for Kelazhur as he ends up losing a couple of workers. Still isn't a few more to those 2 Lings that focus fire down those SCVs. But most of the Lings do get cleaned up and pushed back. At the same time, Kelazhur is trying to poke away at these Banelings and gets all of them. That was really, really well done. We are going to see the Cyclone upgrade also coming out. Hyperflight Rotos are about to finish up.
All right.
Banshees making their way across the map.
I tried to hold my breath, Trables.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I'm just sitting here dying.
I just see you holding your nose over there. I'm like, I guess I'll keep talking.
All right. And Okay, I was like, is he really going to push in here with that landed Viking? No, okay. Unsieges the Hellbats. Turns them back into Hellions. Still got to wait a while for Magfield. As I was saying before, I would have liked to see a second armory. The upgrades are pretty late for the Zerg, but just for reference, Hellions with Blue Flame do not two-shot Zerglings if you fall behind on upgrades. But all you need is +1. If you have +1 attack and Blue Flame, then even if the Zerglings are at +3 Carapace, you'll still two-shot them with Blue Flame. Very important.
Yep. I really like right now Kelazhur's position in this game. I feel like he's doing a great job. You can see that the 4th base is still not really mining here for Silky. He's fallen behind a bit on those upgrades with +1 armor now finishing up for Kelazhur. You also see that he's actually up in supply versus a Zerg player who's been making roaches, which is usually never a good sign.
Yeah, usually the roaches inflate the supply, but in this game it's like, well, even with inflated supply, he's still behind, and that is no bueno. Great catch here. The Banshee grabbing the Queen, able to get the drones in this main base. He's going to be able to scout the Hive at the same time. Forcing those units towards the main base means that Kelazhur may be able to strike into the heart of that the 4th base once again. He pokes the ramp and gets pushed back. One Banshee does get knocked down, but in the meantime, Blue Flame finished, Magfield Accelerator finished, and the Banshees are coming back to poke. There's no Hydras out yet. Oh, I say that. They're literally about to come out.
Yep.
But the Banshees had a good little run there.
Banshee's definitely getting some nice damage done, and like you said, a lot of that scouting information. Scans coming down to clean up some of the creep spread. We see that Silky is postured to try and just keep these units from doing too much more economic damage while he gets up that Hive, while he gets up to Vipers and all the other units they can use to try and deal with this mech army composition. But Kelazhur just keeps getting some value trades. I love that he's finally been able to send some Lings out across the map to deal with this command center, but looks like it should well, Hellions gonna get taken out. I was gonna say probably be saved, but there we go.
Oop, there we go. Yeah, that's one of the best things about playing mech. And we've reached the era where I think a lot of people are noticing that the strongest strengths. Wow, what a word! What a way to say that, Nate. Of top Zerg players is the Ling run-bys versus Bio, especially. That's just one of the best advantages of playing mech is if you just kind of rally your Hellion to some central zone in front. And they are just so much better at dealing with those Ling run-bys than having like 6 or 7 Marines there.
Creep spread has just been eviscerated.
This is so good. He's just so you guys know, the Cyclones will not automatically lock on to the tumors. So it's really nice that he does that because it's easier for Cyclones to get those. For reference, the Cyclone's lock-on range to initiate the lock-on is 7 range. And the Cyclone's auto attack is only 5 range. So they have to get a lot closer if they just want to shoot. So manually locking on means he doesn't have to move himself as far forward. He doesn't have to make himself as vulnerable. And without the creep spread, these Hydras and Roaches can never catch this army. He can turn around and lock on when he wants to, but you don't like dive onto Hellion Cyclone unless you have creep spread.
Oh man, we even have Cloak coming out for some of the Banshees that are still left around. He's got 4 now once again.
Sense. I think if you're Kelazhur, maybe what he's doing is, obviously the Banshees are great at a lot of different things, but I feel like he's kind of preempted the Swarm Hosts that he would have seen in both games versus Time. So he says, well, if that's what I'm thinking about, then the Banshees are going to be useful. I won't have to worry about Swarm Host in the same way. Instead, he's got multi-prong Hellbat Cyclone attacks. And if he gets the Viper with the Cyclone, that would be huge. Unfortunately, not going to be able to do so. Good abducts so far. And Kelazhur really bringing this multi-prong pressure. And honestly, I got to say, not enough Terran players do this, especially when you like watch a lot of people that talk about doing these comps and like ladder and whatnot. He got extra factories. You can actually afford more than the standard 5 factories when you're playing Hellion Cyclone.
8 factories. Wow.
8 factories is a bit much.
Oh my God.
I like to go for 7 personally, but what he has is the ability to spend a huge amount of resources on that Cyclone Hellbat if he needs to. His tanks and Thors are really expensive. You don't need more than 5 factories if you're just building those, but in this situation, I love it. He can build so many Hellbats and Cyclones at a time.
And just constantly, the 1, 2, 3, 4 punches of Kelazhur are coming out from every single angle. It looks like Silky is going to get a pretty good cleanup on this north side of the map for once, as he does start chasing it pretty far off of creep. But look, he has to chase so far off of creep to eventually get to Kelazhur's side of the map.
Yep, and he has to be careful because you don't want to get overrun when you're like, losing units like that if you're Kelazhur. That's why you get all those extra factories, because it's like, well, of course you could build the units out of your standard 5, but that's not going to help if you get pushed at that time.
Well, Scouting Barracks is going to see the army moving across the middle of the map. This might be a time for the Banshees to move in, and that's exactly what Kelazhur is going to do. Starts moving on in. Some Hellions running into that third base. At the same time, the main engagement happens over that planetary fortress. Could start repairing that planetary.
Don't know if there's enough. Here he comes with everything. Surprised no Blinding Cloud on the planetary. That would have helped a lot. But the Banshees come over here, and it looks like they just... Okay, I was going to say traded out versus Spores, but
yeah,
they did trade against the Spores, but a few of them were split off well. The vision range on that Spore Caller. Ay.
Well, this Spore Caller are going to try and burrow. It's not going to be the main target here for this Banshee as it's not quite being controlled. It does get taken out there. Silky re-droning goes up to about 90 drones, going up to 91, 92. Maybe he's looking to build a couple more spines and spores because, well, he's nearly maxed out at this point.
Yeah, I'm worried for Kelazhur now. He had a good kind of momentum, a good tempo going earlier, but I feel like he has missed his window to transition because he has no bank, he's not maxed, and the Zerg is the opposite of both of those things. So I'm a bit concerned. The Liberator transition is what it looks like he's going to go. He added a bunch of starports. He could go into BCs. Now, Cyclone Battlecruiser is an amazing synergy when it comes to unit compositions, but you have to be able to afford it. I guess he's probably going to go ranged Liberator, but...
For the Fusion Core, yeah.
Yeah, 6 Liberators being built at once. So that's fine. I don't hate it. He really needs it. Cyclone Hellion on its own won't cut it anymore because there's just too many Hydras and Vipers on the field. 7 Vipers, he's just gonna play Abduct or Rosie, that's all.
And that's the name of the game. But some more of the creep spread getting cleaned up on the north side of the map at the same time that Silky was all the way down on the south side trying to deal with a single floating barracks.
As long as he keeps killing creep tumors, he's going to make it very hard for Silky to attack him, but he will be trading out Cyclones every time that he does do that. This is what I want to see. There we go. Liberators being used to harass as well. It's going to be a little bit more reliable than those Banshees. There's the Abducts, and without the creep spread, some of them are able to get away. Another round of Abducts. Really need to deal with those Vipers. They're absolutely the hardest unit to deal with when you're playing mech versus Zerg.
Yeah. Kells are doing a good job of denying the bases, and remember that the longer this game goes on, the more spread out Silky has to be with that army, trying to deal with all the multi-pronged harassment. So that's what Kelazhur is trying to take advantage of. But Kelazhur, he has been able to get up another one of these bases down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. If he can keep this kind of stuff up and still trade out effectively,
yeah, that's
still
big.
A chance.
That's big. You know, you can kind of see the momentum of this game shifting back and forth, ebbing beautifully like the bubbling stream over a boulder in a wide river, Beer Dragon. And
we know that we all punch boulders, and that punch in the boulder, it goes back and forth sometimes.
yes,
Your opponent punches the boulder, then you punch the boulder.
the Liberators are the boulder movers in this situation. The weight has been shifted off of Kelazhur's shoulders back towards Silky thanks to the Liberator support. This next fight really big.
Blue circles everywhere.
Honestly,
get out of here.
That's how you do it. The best way to engage, you siege your Liberators all over everything, and you spam that Liberator siege. And it's a bit unfortunate that he hasn't unsieged and repositioned, because the Zerg player will never fight you there if they can avoid it. This is how you want to do it. Put the Liberator zones where you want to be.
Oh, but I mean, I have to say also at the same time though, not a lot of Liberators actually got sniped off there, but most of the Cyclones did. And I am a little bit worried that those Vipers regaining their energy is going to be a problem here.
Cyclones down, get rid of their Cryptors, there we go. Yeah, as long as you... Oh, is that the bug? Yeah, sometimes the Liberators
You mean
bug
the
out.
Zerg? They are a bug.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bug where Liberators get abducted and they stay in siege mode.
Oh.
They can't shoot. That's unfortunate. It doesn't always happen, but it's one of those things that, like, in this situation, it's pretty big.
Just enough Cyclones here at the front lines to deal with the Corruptors and keeping these Liberators alive, but more of these Corruptors start making their way forward, but more Cyclones make their way forward, and Kelazhur is finally making some progress with a main army push.
I love it. This is what I was talking about. This is the type of transition that you need to make. The Cyclone Hellion Liberator, we have seen this busted out in WCS already. This is a really good way to complement those units because they build fast, they're great at harass, and they also create anchor points for your very fragile units. Hellions and Cyclones are great and they do tons of damage. They're just very fragile, so you need a little base of operation for them to retreat to. That's all these freedom zones.
Yep. The Liberator's doing a great job zoning out all of these Hydras. Another base goes down. Silky trying to double expand on north side. Funny enough, where a command center, it looks like, is floating over from
Desperate
somewhere.
desperate times, Fear Dragon. Silky is in a lot of trouble. There are a ton of Liberators still here, ton of Cyclones and Hellions. Look at this, he's trying to be cheeky. He's like, I'm gonna swing around, but it's not, he's actually avoiding the base and doing so.
Yep, he's gonna actually find that hatchery up on the top left-hand side. At the same time, there's a big army fight going down.
Re-siege, there you go, should re-siege immediately. That's the big thing that you want to do in these types of fights. And Corruptors are useless. Corruptors are useless because there's so many Cyclones. They dumpster those Corruptors with Magfield Accelerator.
Kelazhur taking that first game with a very fun and exciting style, hyper-mobile mech style.
I love it.
Just pulls his opponent apart from so many different sides.
I love it a lot. That composition is very fragile. There's a moment where he realizes, okay, there's a lot of Vipers. This isn't working. I need my Liberators. And he makes that switch. Honestly, I felt like he made that switch a little bit late. He cut it very close.
Yeah,
But because he kept the creep back, I think that was the...
That, as well as the fact that I think I really like what you said, where he did invest, he didn't have as big of a bank because he invested so many of his resources into the extra factories. So he was able to, when he did end up losing his army there and it got a little bit dicey, he was able to do a really great job remaking that army and not getting caught because both the creep spread and the fact that he had a new army so quickly after he just lost it.
Yeah, if a Zerg player is able to cover the map and creep, that Hellion Cyclone strategy becomes really bad. Mostly because your Hellions are leaving your Cyclones behind when you try to retreat, and Roaches and Hydras move faster than the Cyclones if there's creep. When there's no creep, you get that situation where it's like even just a couple Cyclones, just like picking off a Hydra here, picking off a Hydra there, and then obviously the Hydralisks won't be able to run away if you chase them down with the next wave of reinforcements. So really well done by Kelazhur. My biggest kudos to him is the creep spread reduction. Because you don't think about it as much.
He said it was a manual targeting of a lot of those Cyclones to get the lock-ons and actually kill the creep troopers, because otherwise they don't normally do that.
Yep, it was really well done. I like seeing that. The biggest strength of that composition is multi-prong hits, because a lot of people, when you talk about like mech and whatnot, people are like, oh yeah, just building a slow death ball. But then when the opponent has to deal with like 3 Cyclones lock on to a hatchery on the top and bottom side of the map, and you're like, oh my god. And then there's Hellions there, of course, backing them up, but 3 Cyclones is guaranteed kill on a hatch with lock-on. Two with Magfield will do it, but yeah, obviously having the 3 there is what makes it faster, and that's tough. He did a lot of really good multi-prong harass, so I love to see. And the Speed Banshees as well. I like that we're seeing a bit more.
Good, yeah. Even when they didn't necessarily get a lot of direct damage done, it was part of that multi-prong harassment you were talking about. It's pulling Silky's attention apart. Silky was... I have to commend Silky because even despite all of that, he was still able to find opportunities to send some lings across the map, try and get some counter damage done, but it was very rare. It was pretty infrequent just because he was so turtled up back at home saying, I have to deal with this attack, I have to deal with this attack, I have to deal with this attack, and just back and forth between all of the bases. You don't get a chance to think about attacking your opponent.
Yep, he did a really good job. That was a really good game, really fun to watch. Players have been asked to switch the colors.
Because they're sitting on blue and teal, which are both shades of blue.
Well, they were on the wrong colors, so they're fixing it. Everything's getting fixed, guys. There's nothing to worry about.
King's Cove, by the way, is going to be map number 2. Remember, this is an elimination match. This is the lower bracket match, so the loser of this gets knocked out. WCS Winter.
That's it. The trap door below their seat opens, and Dr. Evil gives a hearty laugh.
Oh, God.
Yes.
That sounds terrible.
That's exactly what it's like to get eliminated.
They're not even here. They're actually
That's what it feels like, man. It's
not
not
the contracts.
Only one person survived that.
What, one person?
They made a cameo in the next movie.
James Bond?
No!
He did survive it.
It's okay. The game is starting up, so we're getting into this. Thank you guys for tuning in. Been a long show today. Had a couple of delays, but we've been holding it down. The crew's been putting their best foot forward as we make our way through the Americas final round of 16 group. And it's time for game number 2 between our Terran and our Zerg player. This is the World Championship Series. In the bottom right, spawning as the blue Terran player representing Pena Global, he is Kelazhur. The
And up at the top left-hand corner of the map, we have the red Zerg player from Storm Gaming. His name is Silky.
Yeah. Wow, Kelazhur manhandled in that last game. That was good. He's going to put the barracks on the low ground again with the depot. What do you think? Another 3 racks?
I think so.
3 racks Reaper?
Because otherwise, if you just put 1 barracks there and then you try and go for the command center or something, it's not actually a wall off. You can't actually prevent any kind of early pool shenanigans or anything. Which, by the way, we do have gas pool here from Silky. He has not taken his expansion just yet. He might just be expecting this.
Is he going to do the terrible Ravager all in?
Well, there is that. He might. I mean, this what used to be like a pool first opening used to be the way that you used to hard counter a 3-rack Reaper.
Yeah, but even that wasn't entirely agreed upon as the best way.
Yeah, and when I say hard counter, it's actually it didn't quite guarantee a shutdown on it. It just gave you a much better chance at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was scared for a moment he might do that 1 base double gas Ravager rush, which in my opinion, and I'm going to say this very definitively, is the worst build right now in StarCraft. I still saw people do it all the time.
If your opponent goes for 3-rack Reaper, how would you feel about it?
Oh, it's awful. Reapers actually dunk on Ravagers in low count like that. The Reapers snowball way harder than
Isn't the point that you get up enough Ravagers that theoretically, I mean, you're supposed to have enough to
fair,
kill a supply.
I'm going to clarify. I'm talking about the Zerg cheese to kill Terran, the 1 base Ravager.
Right. But I'm saying
how that shapes up against Reaper is just bad because Zerg on 1 base doesn't have the economy necessary to overcome a Terran mining off meals on 1 base.
That is true.
If all 3 races are forced to play on 1 base, Terran is easily the strongest because the mule gives them access to that. And Ravagers, you can't really build them in a fast enough, high enough number to deal with like a swelling number of Reapers, especially once you get a couple grenades in on them.
That I agree with. The only caveat I'd say is like that the nice thing about getting up Ravagers and the reason why a lot of people would do it versus these 3x Reaper builds is because they have the extra range and you can guarantee the shots on the Reapers.
That's true. Byun is the guy that showed everybody that mass speedling is basically the only way to deal with it though.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if...
So he does have a fast link speed, so that's what the fast pool was for, and that's a fair way to deal with this.
Yeah. You get up a handful of these queens a little bit faster as well, and now with Zergling's speed finished up, he's going to get ready with the lings on the high ground to intercept those 2 Reapers. He already knows what is actually heading his way.
Oh, is he going to get both? One of them gets away, but he sends 2 more up.
Oh, man.
Playing the most dangerous game here.
Loses 1 Reaper, but still definitely not too bad so far for Kelazhur. And behind this, he gets up his command center. And we saw that this is, I mean, in the past, this has been something you can just open up with every game and transition out. But it really did start to fade off from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this map definitely opens those opportunities, right? I think I can speak for everybody in the world when I say that this map has brought back some more Mass Reaper stuff into the game. It's certainly a popular map for these types of builds. And we can see it here. You have such a wide arc to run around to deal with everything and try to spot it all. The creep isn't over here either, so it's really hard to get this around. And then the Reapers jump into the main base. And if they
off a creep tumor.
Yep, you kill a couple lings, bounce off. Oh, you want to take a 3rd base? How about no?
Yep. Remember, sniping off those creep tumors really does make a difference because Silky is investing that energy that he otherwise would be using for maybe transfuses and stuff into those creep tumors.
And there's the double expand behind this while he gets the factory, starport's on the way. Kelazhur's just like, you don't get creep, my dude. No, siree. I think he's killing another unit or something over there.
Yeah.
You got the creep tumor again. And as a Terran, you can kind of like try to pinpoint where you think the center of that creep zone is, and you could just throw grenades on the tumor as well and blow them up with that. It's another popular tactic.
Reapers getting some grenades off, softening up some of these lanes.
I like that zoning grenade. Like, he just throws a few out in places he thinks the Zerglings are going to be, and with this many Reapers, it's really hard to engage. And look at this, everything comes over here. And it's like, well, what are you going to do, mate?
He is getting so many cost-efficient trades here with these Reapers. I like barely taking damage against the Queens. He finally loses a Reaper there. And of course, there's the transition that you're talking about behind all this, but this is why I was really sad when Kelazhur lost the Reapers last game, because even when you're making the transition, it's not the biggest deal. It's not the end of the world when you lose the Reapers, But if you have them still alive, you can still control the map so well.
Yep. Reapers give you really nice map control. You also have to consider that he's going for the Roach one, right? Like, he's probably thinking about mech again to some degree, or he wants to do a Nidus build if it's bio. But the Reapers being on the map is just, there's no creep spread. There's no creep spread for your dragon.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to shut down another couple of these creep tumors. 1, 2, the third base not going to be connected by creep as quickly.
Double factory on the way, by the way. So it is going to be Mechios here in this game.
We could very well just be seeing the exact same sort of style from Kelazhur.
No reason not to. He is going to get a Liberator out of this starport. He got a Viking already to hunt for Overlords. But
not actually finding any.
You know, his Reapers see those Overlords, though. He could kind of bait the Queens out a little bit if he wants.
Yeah.
Look at this. I love it. I love that he uses the scan here. You know, because the value of delaying the creep spread and forcing that Queen energy, making the Queens reposition, like, he's going to get this Overlord because of that scan and all that energy from the Queens. People who, there's too many people in the Mule lobby. Okay. I don't know who funded the poorly designed mule that constantly breaks down, but their lobbyists do a great job of making people post about how you can only ever call down mules. There's a lot better ways to spend your resources than building shoddily constructed space robots that can't even last longer than 60 seconds.
I mean, why buff your own economy when you can just nerf your opponents?
That's right. Let's just give all our resources to the Mule Corporation.
Okay, we end up seeing Kelazhur getting up to the high ground now, and Armory is finished up. Hellbats have been mazed. A handful of these roaches are out, but I like that Kelazhur's been able to keep at least a couple of these Reapers alive. The grenade's still a problem.
Just like a grenade, like feed them in one at a time to these roaches and bounce them off. So good.
You can bounce them into the Hellbats as well if you really want to, but looks like he's on the retreat now. He's going to be able to buy some time. Maybe enough time for the Hellbats to turn to Hellions.
I love it. He's been boxed into his base all game. Finally gets a creep tumor outside of the natural ramp zone.
And it's almost 8 minutes in, and Silky has effectively no real creeps.
He hasn't crossed the map once this game. He hasn't been able to get across. He hasn't been able to do anything. And it's
where's the Liberator?
It's like, yeah, he got everything set up, but
well, okay.
I mean, everything is coming up aces right now for Kelazhur. I don't know what to tell you.
He's
got his upgrades. He's got his army. We basically just watched Kelazhur like flawlessly execute this opening, put himself into a great position. This is the type of game, when you're done with this and you're telling yourself you want to learn a new Terran build, a new Terran strategy, you won't be able to micro this well, so skip the Reaper part, but look at everything else. And I really like this a lot. I think if you're Diamond or above, you could probably pull off the Reapers while trying to macro behind it. That's the hardest part.
You know, I think if you're going to go for the Reaper thing, if you're in Diamond or so, and I say
but if you want to, if you want to do it.
I say this as a Diamond League Protoss player who sees the Diamond League Terran players. You may be better off just continuing with the Reapers.
Your opponent will also be Diamond, so I'm just putting that out there.
That's fair.
Whenever people do build comparisons, we're like, just play like Maru. I'm like, you know, your Protoss opponent won't be SOS, right? How would you realize that?
Ooh, Hive Tech is on the way already, so Silky gonna kind of try and combat the fact that he doesn't have a lot of, I guess, presence out on the map just yet.
Well, he gets to start bullying with the Cyclones immediately. I will say, Silky's jumped very quickly on the creep train, but even still, if that creep gets pushed back, even just a little bit, it's going to get harder and harder for him to hold space.
What I like about this map in particular is that it is difficult to get that creep spread going, but as soon as you do, there are so many different avenues, and it's pretty difficult to actually get these Cyclones into position to clean up the creep spread over here, and over here, and over here, just because the walk path for the Cyclones to get to those locations safely from one to the other is pretty long.
Yeah, I agree. We got those tons of extra factories coming in again this game. Basically, the only thing missing is the Banshee play, which I'm not going to say that it was integral to this. If he makes a move into ranged Liberators soon, which he needs to do that because Vipers are going to come out soon, then he'll be fine. I see Kelazhur losing this game if he thinks that he's too far ahead to lose. You know what I mean? If he just starts being too reckless with his units. But so far, so good. I want to see that fusion core, and I want to see those starports.
You end up seeing the army moving around to the right-hand side, trying to bait Silky's entire army to the right-hand side as well. Draws it further off of creep. Still need to take out some of his creep tumors, gets a couple of them, but at the same time we have to see the rest of the Hellions and the Cyclones moving in from the bottom left-hand side. Already a couple of roaches here to greet him, but moving to the natural while the main army fight is happening over here.
Yep, and this is a bit rough. He's going to have to run away over there. Does get these blue flame Hellbats into the natural mineral line. Gets a good look at that hive, too, and here's those drones running away. The Hellion's going to be able to chase. No, he's actually just going to go into the main base. He says, well, you probably don't have your roaches over here. We're over 12 drones killed with this beautiful little attack. I'm loving this. Kelazhur bringing the pressure non-stop, baby. He's getting transformation servos as well. He did skip on that last game, but servos is, in my opinion, one of the best upgrades you can get as a mech player. Super underrated still. Even still, we barely see it enough.
Yeah, extremely useful. I mean, especially even for that little Hellion maneuver he did where he turns them into Hellbats to Hellions to chase down the drones.
One day, I swear to you, every single person who plays mech will get that upgrade.
Is this before or after people start getting the Neil Steel frame upgrade?
Well, that you don't have.
I know, you don't have it anymore.
It's in building armor now.
Yeah.
Building armor is also 100%. If you're going to play late game Terran versus anything, you should get building armor. It's a mistake not to.
Hellion's going to be going for a run by into the natural once again, and guess what? The entire army is out in the middle of the map once again, splitting up the Hellions between the main and the natural expansion. A couple of Hellbats being made. He's going to be able to catch a decent number of drones, and these are the Hellions that he's going to focus his control on.
Yep, again, a lot of work done. More drones dying, and more importantly, bringing the army home again, constantly getting information. When you do stuff like this, you know, the intangibles.
Oh, it gets the Vipers.
You just catch those in the middle of the map.
Yeah, there was 3 Vipers still left over, but losing a handful of them, that's not good.
That's an Omega loop right there. Okay, well, big cleanup. And now going to get the creep tumors. But the intangible of doing that is that you get to see what the Zerg is making still. If it's those Hydras and Roaches that come at you, like if he's building Swarm Host, you're going to see them when you do
Vipers!
Like that.
No!
He runs them again! What?
I mean, I get it. You're under attack from so many different sides. It's been non-stop Hellion run-bys, non-stop Cyclones, moving back and forth, back and forth. But that is an expensive, expensive loss. That is the key unit that Silky needs to get efficient trades off of all of these exchanges.
He gave away so much there. I mean, Kelazhur, this map control is ridiculous. He's even got 3 Overlords spotting the main paths on the map, too. It's incredible, Fear Dragon.
The barracks Overlords.
Yeah, man. They cost almost the same. They just got 5 times the hit points.
Well, looks like this army is finally going to start taking some bad exchanges, but here come the reinforcements, and I think that this might actually be that turning point where Kelazhur has enough that it's not just going to be let's poke forward, see if we can get some harassment done. This is enough that he's starting to win these fights and taking out hatcheries.
Yep, a lot of lock-ons to that hatch. He will pick it off. Now he just bounces. See you later, alligator. Of course, it's always hard to close out games with mech, but now that he's making the transition into Liberators, I think we're going to start to see him do that. Take another base, Kelazhur, while you're at it. Your opponent is never crossing the middle of the map. We've already decided. And then get 7 or 8 Liberators and crush it. There we go, another Hellion run by into the natural. And then some into the main base. And now Transformation Servos is done, so he's going to be able to transform super fast.
Well, Hellbat's not doing a whole lot over in the natural, and they're only just getting a queen in the main base, but this does buy a lot of time to actually go for the main army fight.
Up the Vipers, that's really important.
The rest of them very low on hit points as well. Overseer actually dying to the corrosive biles there.
Rip. Okay, so Cyclone's still out here. We out here. If he doesn't have a scan yet, back off. I was gonna say if he can scan, clear the creep, that's fine, but you don't want to fight on creep like that. If the roaches get on top of you, then that's one of the few ways that you can throw a game from this position. And I say all of this, so Kelazhur's really been beating down on Silky, but to do it in this way, you don't really have like a huge bank either. So you still need to be cautious. You can't be too reckless in the way that you move your units. Great SimCity, by the way, none of these units get stuck leaving.
Yeah.
I really like that. Some of these maps are a bit tricky if you build your production on the ramp.
Some of the maps definitely have some smaller main bases, but this arm is just... It's hard. It's hard to encounter at this point.
Just peeled off all the roaches.
Yep. The Vipers somehow managing to survive, but you still need Roaches and Hydras on the ground to actually kill the Cyclones and the Liberators after you pull them. Liberators start sieging on up. The Ravagers gonna try and make something happen. The Parasitic Bomb's actually getting every single one of these Liberators. Is that gonna be enough damage? No, because they aren't gonna be stacking.
No, that's the biggest thing. Needs to put another one. Parasitic Bomb does not stack.
One more will actually potentially get a lot more of these Liberators if he doesn't unsiege soon,
Yeah.
but Hatchery gets taken out. That was an
He
important
got the hatch. Unsiege, bring him home, repair him, and that's fine. Because you would rather the Zerg waste the energy on Parasitic Bombs than abduct your Cyclones. The Liberators are just they're much more hefty, much chonkier than the Cyclones. Now this just makes me a little bit nervous. It reminds me of Special's game where he like had all those Vikings, but they were all at 10 health because he never repaired them and they died instantly.
Yeah, that can get a little bit dicey, but I think he's still taking some pretty good trades here, and he's most importantly continuing to hit the economy of Silky, not necessarily through drone kills, but through hatch snipes. And there's going to be down another one of these important hatches.
Well done.
Silky barely mining now.
This many Liberators carving a deep path through the map. He's made his own freedom trail. We're back in Boston, Fear Dragon. He has cut off this front side. I don't know what he's going to do. Cyclone Harass on the left side. This hatch, super dead. Continues to encroach forward. And Silky, he's finally out of money. He's going to push into a dozen Liberator zones, and he is super dead.
Parasitic Bomb does take out a couple of the Liberators, but there goes the entire army for Silky. 2-0 for Kelazhur. He's going to be moving on to that decider match, keeping his hopes alive.
Super well done. Kelazhur played his build against Silky. Felt almost no mistakes. It was pretty flawless. Clearly a cut above. And Kelazhur proving that he deserves that second shot in the decider match.
Nate, I'm not gonna lie. I am a huge Kelazhur fan, but when I hear Kelazhur making a tweet saying, okay, I'm leaving Roots, I'm gonna be joining Panda Global, but I'm also gonna be studying in school now. I'm changing countries over to Europe. I'm gonna be living in the Netherlands for a bit. I'm not really focused on StarCraft as much anymore because this is my full-time thing. I get a little bit nervous. I'm like, you know what? I think he'll have this period of time where he'll get a lot better just because he's going to be less pressure.
I think because he's playing on Europe, he's going to get better too.
That also, but just like the fact that he's not full-time, a lot of players will start doing better because there's less pressure on them. But then usually if you aren't playing, if you aren't still committed a bit to StarCraft, there's that fall off. And I was really afraid that we're going to start seeing that fall off from Kelazhur, but he's looking so good right now.
Yeah, brilliant set of games out of him in this matchup. Really well done. Excited to see what he can do in the decider.
Indeed, and in that decider, we will see who he's facing off against because we still got the winners match coming up next. It is going to be Time versus Estrella for Terran versus Protoss to see who makes it out number 1 in the group, followed up by the decider match. So we'll see you guys in the winners match in just a little bit.